Xin chào, tôi là Cảnh Toàn. Chào mừng đến với podcast của Zing News. Hôm nay chúng tôi rất hân hạnh chào đón bà Wendy Sherman, Thứ trưởng Bộ Ngoại giao Mỹ. Good morning, ma'am, and thank you for traveling such a long journey to visit us here today. So you just finished an important speak about the future of Indo-Pacific in front of the students. So how do you feel right now, and what do you expect the younger generation can learn from your talk?
Well, first of all, it was just a thrill to be here at Fulbright University, Vietnam. And as I said to the young people, the future really is yours. And you can make of it whatever you want. There are a lot of challenges ahead, and we need all this energy and curiosity and innovation and entrepreneurship to reach it. So it was terrific. In terms of the Indo-Pacific strategy, and we had a really good question from one of the students about this. Indeed, I think the entire world understands that the future in many ways is going to be written here in the Indo-Pacific in terms of the economy, in terms of security, in terms of innovation and change. A very young population in the Indo-Pacific, a lot of geopolitics here in the Indo-Pacific. And so it's critical to everyone's future. The United States put together an Indo-Pacific strategy and launched a partnership with a whole bunch of countries, including Vietnam, to try to look ahead and figure out what kind of standards and rules we should have going forward, how we can work and cooperate with each other so that everybody can be prosperous, independent, free, and interconnected at the same time. I think it's a very exciting time with lots of possibility, and I'm just thrilled that the U.S. and Vietnam are working together in that effort.
So, as a career diplomat, you have worked in diplomacy for decades from the Clinton administration until now. So, how do you evaluate the relationship between the U.S. and Indo-Pacific countries, and particularly the U.S. and Vietnam relations?
So, I think let's talk about the U.S.-Vietnamese relationship, which has just grown in spectacular ways. We have a lot of war legacy issues that we are working on together. A real effort not only to find the remains of American soldiers, but also Vietnamese soldiers, to deal with unexploded ordnance, to deal with dioxin, to work hard with each other to make sure that we acknowledge the past and we ensure that we have greater security going forward in the future. Beyond war legacy issues, of course, we are working spectacularly on economic development, on health security, on entrepreneurship, on economic investment, on maritime security, which is very critical. The U.S.-Mekong partnership, where Vietnam is such a critical partner in that effort. And of course, our people-to-people exchanges, Fulbright University, Vietnam, the YSEALI program, which is about young people all over Southeast Asia, connecting with each other, helping each other out, learning together, and growing together to be great leaders of the future. So it's very exciting to be here. It's very dynamic and very just filled with energy and possibility.
So I would like to follow up with your response. So what will be the biggest challenges to the stability of the region in the next few years?
Well, look, I think the world has great challenges. Climate is very much on the minds of young people. They want to make sure they actually have a planet that they can operate in the future, and it is a big challenge. And so we are very appreciative of the commitment that Vietnam made at COP26. We want to help every country, including Vietnam, to meet those commitments. And so I'll be talking to the leadership here about how we can help in some ways. We know that we have a big challenge on economic security. Inflation, energy prices, food prices are a challenge for everybody as we recover from the pandemic.
Yeah, so another issue I would like to bring up about the US-ASEAN Special Summit last month. So President Biden discussed a lot of common concerns with ASEAN leaders. So in your trip now, how do you plan to continue on those discussions? And what are your priorities in the trip?
Thank you. President Biden and Vice President Harris were very, very glad, as was Secretary Blinken, to host the U.S.-ASEAN Special Summit. And I was privileged to be part of those meetings and to welcome Prime Minister Ching, who had a really successful visit to the United States. I hope he feels the same way. I think all of your leadership really did a terrific job. Vietnam is clearly really important to the United States. The Vice President has visited here, our Special Presidential Envoy on Climate, our Secretary of Defense. I have a sneaking suspicion there will be other visitors this summer. So I think we really are invested. We are invested in ASEAN centrality. I think it was very important that people around the world saw the United States respects the leaders of every country who is active in ASEAN. Of course, we have a challenge that ASEAN has taken on regarding Myanmar to try to bring peace to that country, to help the people of Myanmar. There's a 5-point strategy that was developed by ASEAN, and we support them in that effort. So this will remain very important to us. There will be an ASEAN ministerial in August. We expect, barring some other change, that the Secretary of State will come to that ministerial. ASEAN is a very important regional organization to move forward on all of the issues in front of us.
Yeah. So during the pandemic last year, Vietnam and the U.S. health cooperation have been very strong, and the U.S. were an important supporter to our vaccination program. So now that we are stepping out of the pandemic, how can we strengthen this kind of cooperation?
Well, first of all, we helped each other during the pandemic. We were very glad through COVAX to donate to Vietnam some 40 million doses of vaccine, to also provide about, I think, $36 million in other kinds of health assistance. But, Vietnam helped us out, sending masks and personal protective gear to the United States when we were really struggling. So we helped each other out in this crisis, and we are now going to continue that effort by creating 13 oxygen distribution centers. I'm going to visit one in Hanoi when I go there on Sunday, tomorrow. So I think we're going to continue a very strong global health security relationship. It's critical for both our countries. Quite frankly, it's critical to the world. And I hope all countries will engage in this in the region. Every country in the region has had a hard time. Vietnam has been a real leader. You have gotten shots in arms in just an incredible way. You've done an amazing job. And I hope that your leadership can provide an example to other countries that are still having a very tough time.
Yes. And in your opinion, what will be the main factors that shape our relation in the coming years? And how can the two countries can sustain the upward momentum of our relation?
I have no doubt we are going to extend and develop and deepen our relationship. We have a comprehensive partnership with Vietnam. We are looking to accelerate and deepen that partnership, and I'll be discussing that with your leadership to see what else we can do together. We work in so many domains. In the U.S.-Mekong partnership, as I said, where Vietnam is a leader on global health security, in trying to ensure security in the region, making sure that we have freedom of navigation in the South China Sea, that there is maritime security, that we deal on climate together and meet the commitments we've made at COP26, that we work hard for economic investment and for an economic future that ensures prosperity, so that all the young people who joined us today, either in person or virtually, have jobs that are going to be quite different in the future. And so I think it's terrific that Fulbright University of Vietnam is helping those students to get ready for that future.
Yes. So this question would be a little bit personal. So being the first woman to serve as the United States Deputy Secretary of State, do you think that the female representation is still a problem when it comes to diplomacy and international relations? And how have you dealt with it?
I was delighted to see that the president of Fulbright University of Vietnam is a woman. The moderator of this event was a woman. And I understand 65% of the students here are women. I think that speaks volumes for where Vietnam wants to go. It's tough for women all over the world. We have to support each other and get support from good guys, to have confidence in ourselves, to make whatever choices we want and be supported in those choices. I think the pandemic taught a lot of us that we have to integrate our work lives and our personal lives. I came to become Deputy Secretary of State from teaching at the Kennedy School at Harvard. And I taught during the pandemic virtually, of course. And on the screen, I taught my students, I taught their children, I taught their husbands and wives, I taught their grandparents, I taught their dogs, their cats, their parrots. Everybody was on the screen. And I think it was emblematic that we all have to support each other to get through life in all of the choices that we make. We have a lot ahead of us in this region. The United States is a great power in the world. Vietnam is a regional leader. You live in the part of the world where, of course, the People's Republic of China is a great and growing country. We very much look forward to communicating, as our Secretary of Defense did just with the Secretary of Defense of the People's Republic of China, to compete in a world for jobs and the technological future, and to deal with issues of concern for all of us so that everyone can have a secure and prosperous future where we are all operating with the same rules so that it is fair and that we respect each other's systems, which may be different, but we all want the same things, which is a prosperous, secure, interconnected, free, and open Indo-Pacific.
The final questions. In which ways can a woman empower other women, especially when still navigate in a man-dominating sphere?
Well, I think we have to help each other out. I've always been helped by having a support group of other women who can urge me on, cheer me on. At the same time, give me tough criticism when I need it, so that I can do better and succeed, and to ensure that even if we don't think we've got all the qualifications for a job, if we have most of them, we should go for it. We can learn the rest of it, or do the very best we can in that job. There's change that has occurred in my lifetime. One has to persist and have courage and own your own power. Power is a really good thing if you use it for good aims and good outcomes. And so we shouldn't be afraid of power as women, but help each other out to get there and have a good support system. I've been very fortunate to have a terrific husband for 42 years and a daughter who's put up with my crazy career, and now has a wonderful career of her own, teaches immigration, asylum, and human trafficking law at a university. And she's a mom to two little boys and is trying to have them grow up to be kind and to support everyone, whoever they are, in all their diversity, no matter what they choose in their lives, whom they love, or whatever background they may have.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful response, and that concludes our talk today. Thank you so much for joining our podcast with Zing News.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.